It's a bit of a continuation of the last video actually. I just have to figure out how to edit it, splice them together. That's my biggest challenge, is the technological side of the videotaping and the editing. I'd love to be able to put all that lovely music with it and make it all smooth, but anyway, I can't. Well, I can't at the moment, but I'm going to figure out how. I've got this wheel rimmer part, this hub, and I'm going to show you something because this is worth knowing. Often they use left-hand threads, and so you can spend a long time trying to undo them without realising that you're actually doing them up. Having said that, if you sometimes, little tip, if you sometimes do things up a little bit more, a bit tighter that won't undo, they undo more easily, if that makes sense. But anyway, look, I'm going to wipe my hands so I don't get all over the camera. I'm going to show you something here. Now, you have to wipe off the surfaces because these cunning little marks are often hidden. But I don't know if you can see it, but just there. Let's bring this around to the light actually. So I wiped it off. And you can just see it there, left hand. Although it's not really. So I can make it a bit more highlighted. Yes, I can. Left hand. There you go. That. And the same with this one as well. What have I done with that one? Yeah, somewhere along there. There we go. Left hand. Oh, the light here is really weird. Nope, that doesn't work. Go by the door there. I don't know if you can see it, but it's a lot more easy. It's a lot easier for me to see than it is for you guys. But that says left hand. LH. Let's put the right way up. That might be a bit more. Yeah, sort of. But anyway, left hand threads. So that means you have to do them up. The normal righty-tighty, lefty-loosey law doesn't apply here. In this case, you have to do them up to undo them. So I'm doing it up, like you're screwing on the top of a bottle, but it's actually undoing. And then take the innards out. There's a little spacer in there. A few little innards. This one is the same. When you undo these, what I do is I put a couple of, well, either one or two pieces of flat bar, and I put them in the vise. Because, I'll show you why. There's slots. Oh my god. There's slots there and there. So I just anchor that in the slot. And then what I do is I put that in the vise. And then you can put some pressure on the hub, do it up, and undo it. And let's try and retrieve these pieces before I lose them forever. Let's see, one piece there. Is it one piece there? It comes for that. This piece here. There's a special wrench for these, so what I always do is I just tend to use a punch, which is completely the wrong way to do it, but you know, you work with what you've got. Sometimes I've used some much bigger needle nose pliers like that and just bridged that and then put a bar between, but they're often really stiff, they need to be shot to loose. And this one was a swine actually, it was really, really tight, but I managed to get it done. So, as you can see, I'm doing it up, but it's actually undoing. So once you've got these out, then you can get the wheel bearings out. Oh, I'm not having a good day today. Right in the dust. Absolutely covered. So now I can drive those bearings out. So what I'm going to do is I'll use a drift, and I'll drift out that whole axle assembly. And when I say a drift, what I usually mean is something like that work? Yes, it will. See that'll go right through. It's horrible on the wrenches, but it goes right through, and you can use that as a drift. You won't destroy anything in the process. They normally come out pretty easy, but you never know with these things. So she's coming out, but very tight. There, that bearing's out. That bearing actually looks pretty good, so I'm going to reuse, just repack it with grease and reuse that. Now this one, presumably, oh I see, there's a big washer there. There's a big washer there on that one. Sometimes there's a snap ring. Oh, it looks like a seal of some description. Yeah, there's some kind of felt pad. They used to really think things through in the old BSA days, didn't they? So there's a lot of lubricating pads. You just set that in oil. So I'm going to do the same with this. Drive it out in just the same way. And in this case, we'll use that. This poor extension has been beaten to death. So I'm probably going to have to use a Dremel to carve out the hole slot, the 3/8 drive hole. That's back in again. As you can see, I've destroyed this part, but you know what? You got to, as I say, you got to work what you got. And that's off, which is just grand. So that's all the bearings up. I know I can clean up the hub. So the hub is now completely sans bearing. Clean it up. This little spline here, this one's actually in really good shape, but I've seen them where they've been really worn away. Cars have them. I had an old MG many years ago with split wheels with splines, and it used to clonk when you put your foot on the gas or when you put your foot on the brake because they were worn, so there's backlash. So it's really important that when you put this back together, you put lots of grease on there. You know, you really grease it up. I've got a Triumph Rocket 3, that's my kind of daily ride. And they use spline, the one that goes a lot is the one that goes to the rear wheel, because it's a spline like this one. And it on a Rocket 3 with with 140 odd horsepower and similar amount of torque, it'll make very short work of those splines if they're not greased. So owners of Rocket 3s are very well advised to remove their rear wheel and do the splines, and also do the drive shaft as well, because they clonk and rattle on the earlier Rocket 3s. They weren't a great fit, so any little bit of movement, it becomes bigger movement as it wears. So that's the rule, isn't it? A little bit of movement. All it takes is a tiny amount of movement, which begets more movement, which begets more wear, which begets more movement, until finally the splines are done. But these, there's actually no wear on them at all, which is amazing. Actually, this has been greased because it's got a lot of, like glutinous. Can't think of the word. Coagulated. I can't think of the word. Anyway, look, the grease is thick, and it's in there. But that's a good one. So I'm going to stop the video there because my next step is to actually wire brush this, and then primer it. Got all the bearings out. I'll have to mask off the spline because we don't want to get paint all over that, because that'll be a real pain. So that's it for now. Thanks for watching again, the old If project.